I'm not making any money. This is for educational purposes only. Fair use. Fair use. Barakatah Yahawah. Barakatah Yahawashi. I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, BaHaSham, Rawchaa QaDash. Let's give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking their lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect. The elect, Shalom, to the Israelite foreigners, who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father, and have come back to the fold. Shalom, to your sisters, your Yahawah, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This your brother Ram Yahawah with the lesson. And yeah, this is something I've thought about doing for a while. Just because it's hard to keep up with the news and so much going on. But so I'm just gonna go through this like thing. So because you get these what's it called? Your notifications, and they'll be in there. But then sometimes you still don't get a chance to go through everything. So I'm just gonna kind of scan through these notifications just to show like how so much news goes by. And so this was 5 hours ago. MJ News, I guess, breaking news, right? Yeah, and it's that breaking news thing. They always it's a little breaking news app thing, and I sign up to that on the app, and it says winter storm warning issued as 18 inches of snow sparks unless endless no unless it is in emergency. Oh, unless it's like a weird. Unless it is emergency travel warning, travel alert. I don't know. I'm just used. Okay, unless. Okay, yeah, right. Let's see. Oh, this shit. I didn't mean to open it. But yeah, yeah. Well, see, and so it comes in your notifications, and so and even then right here it says thousands urged to stay indoors across Arizona and California, which must be the northern parts of California and Arizona where it snows, because that's look like that's what that is. I hate these things, man, because it's just so much stupid stuff. See, that's why I try not to do this. You know, I accidentally hit it and then it doesn't work the way it's supposed to work. But a man dead, a woman hospitalized after shooting.
We're staying on top of breaking news in Maryvale, where 2 people were shot tonight and rushed to the hospital.
Casey Torres live from the scene near 69th Avenue and Indian School. What are police saying, Casey?
Well, just about a minute ago, police confirmed with us that the man that was shot was killed, and the woman is still in the hospital with life-threatening injuries. And at this point, no suspect has been identified. But detectives expanded the crime scene not long ago. They are talking with witnesses and gathering surveillance video to help piece together why a man and woman were shot outside this apartment complex. Now, shots were fired around 7 p.m. We talked with several people who live in the area who say they heard a lot of gunshots. One woman says her kids were playing outside when the shots rang out.
It was scary. It was a scary feeling for sure. Ran inside, everybody turned everything off and quiet down because, it was a very scary moment, and it happened so fast.
Her car was parked near where the shooting happened. She says officers told her it's riddled with bullet holes in her window.
Oh my God! So I was trying to see if I can go through this without having to go through that. But yeah. Shoot. See, a woman arrested after razor blade found in bread sold at Walmart. Wow, you know. Already sent you a notice when you make a tax math error after new law. Oh yeah, I bet. Man, this thing was set up better earlier. I'm just gonna go through this. Funk. Slovakia. Because this thing's not. I think got these dumbass thing commercials. Brandon Welsh, she set to be sentenced for murder, dismembering wife. Oh wow, see, for dismembering their wives. I don't know how to say his name. Well, I don't know if he say Welshie. I don't know if he say Welshie or Walshie. To be sentenced for murder for dismember. Oh, that's how you say it. It's a Walsh. Walsh. Okay. Brian Walsh is set to be sentenced on Thursday after a Massachusetts jury found him guilty for killing and dismembering his wife, the mother of his 3 children. His wife, Anna Walsh, went missing on January 1st, 2023. Damn. At the age of 39, her body has not been found. Wow. Brian Walsh, 50 years old, pled guilty. Yeah, so these are some of the things that's just going on in the world, right? Trump to address a nation on first year in office for 2026 agenda. So he's going to be addressing the so-called agenda for the first year. It says holiday travel forecast, when to fly, drive this so-called Christmas and New Year. Right, Christmas and New Year holiday period is expected to be the busiest on record. More than 122 million people are expected to travel between December 20th and January 1st. 2.2% jumps from last year record high of 119 million traveling, according to the AAA. Right. Let's see. Mother charged after 1-year-old dies from being exposed to drugs 100 times more potent than fentanyl. God damn. North Carolina mother is facing murder charges for the death of her young son. All right. Was recently charged after exposing her son to an incredibly potent and dangerous drug, right? Wow. You know? Let's see what else I got. I'm just trying to. I just hate this thing does this so much. What is nuked smoking? One of GOP's deepest thinkers roasted for hyping Trump speech. Someone who has been described as one of the GOP deepest thinkers was roasted on Wednesday night by by poli- politic analysts, politic analysts, after he hyped up President Trump's bizarre address to the nation. I didn't even hear, but okay. Trump gave a 18-minute speech live TV on Wednesday where he admitted to address voters. Yeah, just focus on that. So messaging on the issues during the speech. Trump blamed immigrants for high housing and health costs. He also bragged about his tariff policies, which many economists have said are contributing to the rising costs of goods. Right? Let's see what else is. Yeah, this is CNN. The politics is start the day here. Trump primetime address takeaways primetime takeaways, holiday bonuses from troops. Wow. Take away the bonuses from troops. Powerball jackpot climbs to 1.5 billion. That's crazy. And troops will receive $1,776, I guess, check before Christmas. Trump announced. So, President Trump announced Wednesday that he would be issuing checks to members of the United States military for $1,776 in honor of the country's founding calling funding calling the payment the war dividend. This is 1,450 or 1,450 Marines service members will receive a special will call war dividend before Christmas, a war dividend in honor of our nation's funding in 1776. Oh, that's what. That's why it's the number. That's why they're only getting 1,007 for 1776. We are sending every soldier 1,776. Trump said during his televised address to the nation. Right. it says sweeping U.S. defense bill pass with Ukraine, Venezuela, provision defying Trump, which I don't know how you define Trump. You're doing everything that was willing, that he wants, that the elite want. Like, you're not. Yeah. See, you're passing, you're giving 800 million for Ukraine for some type of ballistic security. You know, you're gonna basically support NATO, saying you're limiting or restrictions for U.S. forces for NATO, but basically you're saying you're gonna support them. But it's not gonna benefit you. At the end, bill does not change department's name to Department of War. No, you're Department of War now. It's already Department of War, so it's the Department of War. It says Washington. It says U.S. Senate vote overwhelmingly on Wednesday to advance a $901 billion bill setting policy for the Pentagon, sending the massive price of legislation to the White House, which has said President Trump will sign into law. So how are you defining him? He wants to do these things. So you didn't do a damn thing, right? The Physical 2026 National Defense Authorization Act, right? Which that's basically what that stands for. Is a what's it? It says compromised between separate measures passed earlier this year in the House of Representatives. Senate, it authorizes a record $901 billion in annual military spending with a 4% raise for the troops. It also authorized reforms to the system for acquiring military equipment and including effects to boost competitiveness with U.S. arch rivals China and Russia, right? So they're thinking, yeah, they better make sure they pay the troops, because then you'll really have some civil unrest. So they got to try to make sure they pay these troops out before they start all these wars. You know, the war with the people, the war with Venezuela. Basically, they causing war throughout the entire world, right? Yeah, just reading that last part just made me think of this scripture right here. It says, Revelation 6:4, and there went out another horse that was red, which means Esau. Esau's the earth. Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Esau being red, meaning Edom, Adawam, right? He's in rulership, and power was given unto him. So he's the steward of the house. He's the unjust steward that's ruling over the house, and he's doing it unjustly, right? And when the righteous are in authority, right, the people rejoice. But when the wicked are in authority, the people mourn, right? It says and power was given unto him that sat upon it, right, which is Esau, Edom, right, in rulership of the world, right? Well, not rulership, but stewardship, right, which just means he's to be like a landlord or manager, right? It's his job to manage the world, and then he's not managing it right? You know, Matter of fact, let's go to that real quick. Luke. It's in Luke. I'm gonna go to the blue letter just so we can see it real quick. Yeah, so it's Luke 16 and 8. It says, and the Lord, or like Apostle Hart say, Kairis, right, which represents Yahawashi, which means superior, right? And Yahawashi is superior over all of us, even Esau, even you Esau, Edom, even you Edom, right? Because you're the red, right? Edom meaning Idawam, red, right? The red horse. You have the power. It was given unto you, and Kairis commended the unjust steward, right? And he's commending you or praising you because you know what time it is at the end of the day. That's just what that is. This is the unjust steward because he had done wisely for the children, right? All the way from the international bankers, right? To the average everyday blue collar Edomite, right? Children of this world in their generation, wiser than the children of light. They know what's, wiser than these Israelites, right? The children of light are the Israelites. And you know what time it is, right? This is why the whole thing with the MAGA, you're not getting any really response from them, right? With this whole thing with this thing with Trump supposed to have done these some acts with his mouth with Bill Clinton. No one's moving from that, right? Because things are happening, right? Because let's just start with the apostles. The scripture says that your teacher should not be removed in a corner anymore. And ever since the apostles been on the scene, things have been happening the way the scriptures have said. More chariots, more chariot sightings, all these different things, and the push of the MOTB and the children of this world, they can sense the shift in the power, right? The low amount of birth rates that they're having, they're really in a crunch time, so they have a sense and they have an understanding of what's going on, right? Because this is their generation, this is their rule, this is the time for them to rule. So they're in tune with this world, with this kind. Because matter of fact, this one says it right here. It says, and he and his master, which is Yahawashi, commended him, right? Gave him praise. The unjust man, right, which is Esau, Edom, right, as a whole. Esau is an unjust man, but his descendants, which is Edom, which that's what got passed down his blessing, right, which is to rule the world by the sword, right, to his children, not for his misdeeds, right? It ain't really for his misdeeds, which he is an unjust ruler. It's because he know what time it is, because he had acted shrewdly, right, which means to be wise or cunning, right? Because that's what he is. He's a cunning hunter, right? By preparing for his future unemployment, right? Because he's about to be taken out of power. So what is he preparing for? He's preparing to fight the Lord. And he's like, I'm not moving out of this spot. I'm going to keep rulership in the world. So he's preparing for his future unemployment, right? For the sons, right? The regular average Edomite from starting with the Bilderbergs, the DuPonts, the Gettys, the Oppenheimers, of course the Rothschilds, right? All the way from the international bankers to your regular average everyday Edomite, the sons of this age, right? Their rulership, right? This is their age, their time to rule. That's all it is. The non-believers, right? Because they can't believe in Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, right? They could believe in Jehovah. They could believe in Jesus Christ, right? They could believe in those things because that fits the narrative of white supremacy, which is ultimately a lie. None of that actually computes with what actually is said in the Bible, right? You could open the Bible and you could teach and you could do these things, and people may understand it in a certain way that these people tell them, but they're bewitched by the lies. Because when you actually break down the Bible for what it actually says, word for word, and then you go precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little, you can't possibly come up with the things that they come up with. The laws are done away with. It's all about prosperity. Even though the economy is crashing, you got people still teaching prosperity doctrines, right? Though there's military in your streets, people are still teaching prosperity. Though there's plenty of people killing each other and dismembering their wives and killing their babies with all sorts of drugs, or throwing their babies in microwaves and all sorts of madness that people are doing, right? You got wars on every front, but somehow everything's about prosperity and you know, a bunch of madness, man, at the end of the day. You know, but they're preparing for their their unemployment, which is to be moved out of power, because the power is shifted and they can sense it. They're not having children at the rate that so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians are having children. Yeah, they're not having babies at the rate that Moab is having babies. Ishmael, any of the so-called brown nations, which not to mention the sun is giving them cancers. So they're in a disarray on every level. But the point is they have the power, right? So they're wise in their age or their generation, this age, their time to rule. The non-believers are shrewder in relation to their own kind, right? Knowing where they're at. They're not having birth rates. You know, the older people are outliving the children. The children are dying pretty fast over these fentanyls, and then they're not having a birth rate high enough to replenish them, right? Because the Lord said, what you done or what you thought to do to my people, that's actually going to happen to you, right? You said erase it, destroy them into the foundation, but that's actually going to happen to you. But it's starting now, slowly but surely, and they can sense the urgency, right? And they know that the relation to their kind, that it is to the way of the secular world. Yeah, because that's them. They're the secular world, you know, right? The heathen, right? Because that's why you got all the heathenistic custom within the Bible, which that's what they did when they went to I can't remember the name of that king that put all them goddamn heathens in Ephraim's land. But nevertheless, when they put those heathens in Ephraim's land, I believe that's in Kings, 2 Kings, you can go look it up. The king put the heathens in that land, and then they didn't obey, the ways of the land, and the Lord sent lions on them. And so they had to have a priest teach them from the Levites, from the Israelites, teach them how to live in that land so the lions didn't kill them. But even after he taught them the way to serve the Lord, they still introduced their own little gods, kind of somewhat slided in there. So it didn't, the Lord didn't send lions, but they introduced their little things, which that's pretty much what they do with Christianity. Let's introduce Easter, which is Ashtar, and then let's say that has nothing to do with the Bible. Well, you're right. It doesn't have nothing to do with the Bible. So why are you got somebody in a goddamn bunny suit at the church? Why are you having people search for eggs? If that has nothing to do with the Bible. Oh, it's for the children though. Oh, okay, well, Christmas. Well, that has nothing to do with the Bible. No, that's not. We just got to do it. These are all other pagan gods, right? Jeremiah 10 tells you don't go into the forest and cut a tree, for it's a thing of the heathen. But every church right now, go anywhere right now, and you'll see a Christmas tree in that church. And you'll ask them, why did this tree? And why did Jeremiah? So they introduced their whole little thing. And that's the same thing that they've always done. Right? Because because they're the secular world to bring in their what is it called? Shoot. Well, basically heathenistic customs, right? Then are the sons then are the sons of light, the believers, right? And let's get to what I was trying to get to. Yeah, because which is the elect, which is going to be the elect. Sons of light, the believers are the elect, because 2/3 of the Lord's people do not believe, right? And that commend, right, goes into approval or to praise, right? The commend, they commended them upon, on, at, position, right? Yeah, he gave them the position of power, right, to come to prepare for the battle. And what's it? Yeah, let's go to steward, right? Because that was the point I was trying to make. See, because it's steward is
Strong's G 3623, akoinamas,
orkanamas, which is strangely really close to orkamene, right? Which is basically rule, like orkamene is the world, the whole world, and orkanamas, right, is what the manager, right? And that's all he is, manager, householder affairs. Yep, that's all he's meant to do. And it's basically like being see right here, the superintendent, like being a landlord. And that's all Esau is meant to be doing, is to be like a landlord. And where was that one? I've seen it, and it said something about, I think I've seen it here. Yeah. Oh, landed estates overseer, right? Here it is. The superintendent of the city finances, treasury of the city, or treasures, or is it Salakia? Chorestas of the king, right? Right? And is it right here? Yeah. Duty of dealing out of the proper portions to every servant. See, right there. And it's their duties to deal out the proper portions to every servant, right? So it really shouldn't be anybody poor. It really shouldn't be anybody hungry, right? But then again, the Lord did say the poor will be with you always. But there's still supposed to be a system that sets up that the poor can eat, the people can have a thing. But he's about to take peace from the earth completely. Yeah. So to continue right here, it says, and there went out another horse that was red, right, which is Edom, right? Adawam, meaning red in the Hebrew. And power was given to him that sat thereon to take what? Peace from the earth. And that's what ultimately what he's going to do. He's about to take peace from the earth, right? And committing all these different, dealing with the digital ID, saying you can't live and you can't eat and you can't drink unless you do this, unless you have this digital ID. But it's set for him to be as the manager or the superintendent to make sure that everybody has a portion. And every person is a servant of the Lord in some type of capacity. No, you may not be the Israelites, but you all serve a purpose. You're all a servant of the Lord. And everybody deserves water, air, because that's what the Lord said. It rains on the good and bad alike, right? It rains on the Israelites, it rains on all you nations, you heathens, right? There's fruits and seeds, right? And when it rains, it waters the seeds that's put in the ground, and you're able to eat, whether it's watermelons, apples, grapes, oranges, plums, whatever nectar, whatever it's supposed to be. It's there for you to eat, and it's there for you to enjoy, good and bad alike. That's what the Lord set it up. But this dude said, good and bad alike, no, you can't eat unless I say you to eat. And you have to be part of this digital system. I'm going to lock you in to 15-minute cities. I'm going to take peace from the earth. And that's ultimately what's happening under this dude ruling. Take peace from the earth, that they should kill one another, right? Which is gonna happen. Race wars, right? Food wars, class wars, right? And people might just kill just because they're afraid. Because you take a piece from the earth, people are just gonna be just afraid. You know what I mean? They're gonna be killing themselves. All sorts of manner of things are gonna happen, which is already happening now. The people are doing certain strange things now. That's why a dude's dismembering his wife. That's why this lady's taking drugs, and then I don't know if she gave it to her baby, or the baby just ended up crawling over there and touching it. But why is the lady doing drugs in the first place? Why? Because the wicked are in rule. If the righteous were in authority, the people will rejoice. You have no reason to do drugs. You'd be happy. You'd be good. But when the wicked are in authority, the people mourn. When you're doing drugs, you're mourning. You don't know what to do with your life. You're just like, hey, I just need to feel some type of goodness or numb myself. Just try to ignore the madness that goes on in your life. That's why you do it, right? And it says, should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword, right? That's Esau to live by. That's how he used to take the earth, a great sword. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast saying, come see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse. And this is where we're going, where we're headed to. And he that sat on it, which is Esau, he's in rulership, he's in power, he's the steward, had a pair of balance in his hands, right? Which means to weigh, right? And this pair of balance says who's to eat and who's not to eat, and then how much you can eat. Because right now, I noticed that when you go to Wendy's, they have a scale, and they actually weigh the food to make sure you don't get more than what you're supposed to have. Nobody can throw an extra nugget in there for you, right? You know how certain people there, you'll see somebody that come in with their kids, and they pay for a meal, and you may have a little compassion on them, and so you'll slide in another thing of like fries, or maybe you throw in another nugget. It's only 4 pieces. Throwing a little 4-piece nugget for the kids because they can't afford to eat. So you'll have that compassion. They're trying to make sure that if you have compassion, you can't even display the compassion because it's weighed. And if it's off weight, it's going to tell them not. You can't give them this thing because it doesn't weigh what it's supposed to weigh, right? Right. And the voice, and I heard a voice in the midst thereof, in the midst of the fourth beast, saying, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thus hurt not the oil or the wine, right? Which is dealing with the truth, right? The truth, this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, is oil, right? Anointing, the when you have the anointing, basically, the unction, right? It's just the oil, smearing, right? And in the wine, right, dealing with the right philosophy, right? They can't hurt it. Yeah, so this is Psalms 75:7. But the power, Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, BaHaSham, Rawchaa, QaDash, is the judge. he putteth down one, right, which is Esau, about to get taken out of power, and setteth up another, which is Jacob, which is Israel, Yasharallah, right? For in the hand of Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, BaHaSham QaDash, there is a cup, and the wine is red. It is full of mixture, and he poureth out of the same, right? So you got good and you have bad out of the same cup, right? But the dregs thereof, all the wicked of the earth, right, dealing with Esau, right, and 2/3 of the Lord's people, shall wring them out, right? Even though 2/3 of the Lord's people are going to come back and be in rulership because they're going to come back as babies, but the wicked are going to be slaves, and then they're going to serve their 1,000 years of servitude, and then they'll be what's it called, tributaries or vassals or whatever, and pay their dues. See, and that shows the mercy of the Lord, because we live forever, right? We're going to live forever. We could easily enslave you forever, but the Lord's not going to do that, right? Think about it, the time that the Israelites have been in slavery. It's been more than 1,000 years, right? If you think of, we're under the Egyptians, then the Babylonians, and then, you know what I mean? You put all that collectively together, all the different nations that had us in slavery, your little 1,000 years that you're going to serve, it's going to be nothing compared to the things, the years that we have to go, that we had to go through, right? So that shows the mercy of the Lord, right? But out of the same cup, a goodness and bad. The Lord he putteth down one and setteth up another, right? Out of that same cup. But the dregs thereof, the wicked, all the wicked of the earth shall wring them out and drink them. But I will declare forever, I declare forever, I will sing praise to the power of Jacob, right? Which is Israel, Yasharallah. So Israel is going to be in rulership, right? And Esau is going to be taken out of rulership, right? And it says all the horns of the wicked, right? Your power, your rulership, your military, your what is that? Your space stations, your satellites, all that's going to be taken down, right? Your power, your military, your might, it's all going to be taken down. All the horns of the wicked also will I cut off, but the horns, right, which military might, power of the righteous, which is the Israelites, starting with the elect, shall be exalted. See? And the Lord's not going to hurt the oil, right? Nor the wine, right? The anointing being the unction of the Holy One, and we know all things, right? And the wine being, hey, the Lord's going to prosper us. But it also goes into doctrine too, right? Yeah, so it says Proverbs 9:1, wisdom hath built her house, she hath hewn down 7 pillars, she had killed her beast, she had mingled her wine, right? See, being the philosophy, the understanding, the doctrine, right? The wisdom, knowledge, the understanding, right? Which that's all it is. When people say doctrine, it just means the wisdom or the understanding of it, right? The programming, right? Because the Lord programs you. You are programmed by the Most High, right? If Esau's government, and government means to mind control, and they definitely have you people under mind control, how much more for the Most High? You think the Lord don't have you under mind control? Of course He does. But it's for you to say, hey man, let me humble myself, and maybe I can fit within the Lord's will, right? And that's ultimately what it is. But her had mingled her wine, right? Was the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. She have also furnished her table, right? Which goes into this being like a wedding feast, a wedding feast, right? She hath sent forth her maidens. She crieth upon the high places, right? And that's wisdom going out right now through the unicorn, through these satellites, right? Go through the thing, through the internet, and the internet does the heavy lifting. In the high places, and the main places here, Babylon the Great, America, it's the high place, the high city, the highest place of the city, right? And it's that mystery city, Babylon, right? Yeah, I just read this last one. It says, who is simple, let him turn in hither, right? It's showing you that it's talking about wisdom. And if you're simple, come and get this understanding. Turn in hither, as for him that wanteth what? Understanding. She saith to him. See? And that's what this is. But the whole point of this is what when Proverbs 29:2, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. See? And then right now what people are mourning, right? You know, you have all these different killings and death and people not being paid, and you know, they're keeping the wages, right? Yeah, so this is James chapter 5 verse 4. Behold, which means feast your eyes, look, pay attention, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, right? So you had these, you know, the regular blue collar worker, but then you're telling them you're going to bring in AI, you're going to take away the jobs, you're going to put them in 15-minute cities, you're going to be universal citizens, you can get a $2,000 thing, and then you're even making fun of it, like it's called a universal basic man. It's like a cartoon. It's crazy, and it's like a joke, you know. And it says which of you kept back by fraud, right? The money that you were supposed to give them, the retirements, there's different things, because every job used to have like a what is it called, a retirement, you know, a pension, right? But then all of a sudden you take away the pensions, you give them this 401k, which it's not guaranteed because the stock market can crash at any time. So it's not guaranteed for them to have a retirement, which it's not likely for them to have a retirement because even the Social Security is run out because you're using it for defense, right? Right? Using the budget for defense, so it's not really there. Yeah, you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth, right? Of armies, right? The Kairos, you know, the Lord superior, which is Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, right? Yahawah through his only begotten Son, right? Who he's going to send forth the second return of Yahawashi to make war, right? Take you out of power. It says, ye have lived in pleasure, right? Which these elites, Bilderbergs, the DuPonts, to get it, to Oppenheimers, right? They're ruling, man. But they're ruling unjustly, right? So the Lord's going to take them out of power. Ye have lived in pleasure on earth and been wanting, right? That's what it said in Daniel's, right? You found wanting, tekel, right? Weighed in the balance, right? Ye have nourished your hearts, right? Your mind, right? To think that you could come up with your use your technology to make laser weapons and drones and a space force, and you think you could contend against the power, the Most High, right? But that's why the Lord commended you, because you know what time it is. You know it's the end, so you're preparing yourself. right? You nourished your heart for this very time. As in the day of what? Of slaughter, right? And that's what's about to be, you're about to be taken out of power, right? Yeah, so this is Daniel chapter 5, verse 25. This is the writing that was written many tekel upharsin. This is the interpretation of the thing, many, the power of the Most High, Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, BaHaSham, Rawchaa, QaDash, have numbered thy kingdom. And that's where you're at, Esau, Edom. Your kingdom is numbered, right? And finished it, right? And now you're like Mortal Kombat, finish him, right? Finished it, right? Tekel, thou art weighed in the balance. See, and that's where you're at. And art found wanting, right? Right? Pretty much what it's basically kind of said in James, wanting. Right? They spelled it a little different, but found wanting, are found wanting, right? And that's what you are. You found in the balance. Was it pressed, right? Pressed. Thy kingdom is divided, right? And that's where you're at right now. You're divided. You got the Democrats against the Republican, and even in the Republican Party, you're divided, right? The MAGA is divided. This is the United States of division, right? No one's agreeing, right? And given to the Medes and the Persians, and right, hey, that makes sense, because what the modern day Medes is the Russian, and then the Persians is Iran, right? Because they're still the Persians to this day, technically, even though they go under the name Iran. But if you search up who Iran is, or what their flag and what their thing used to mean, or if you just put in, did Iran used to be Persia, is known as Persia, and it'll tell you, yeah, they're known as the Persians. So Iran is the Persian. So modern day, this was previous under the regular Medes and the Persian, the ancient Medes and Persians, but full circle spiritually, the spiritual Medes is Russia, and the Persians is still Iran, right? Or the Persians. And that's what's about to happen now. And it says, and then commanded Belshazzar, the king, Belshazzar commanded Belshazzar, they clothed Daniel with scarlet and put a chain of gold about his neck, and made him a proclamation concerning him, that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom, which Israel is going to be the ruler overall over the entire kingdom, which is the entire world, the whole inhabited earth, starting with Yahawashi, King David, the 12, the 144,000, right, is going to rule the entire world. So with all that, I'm going to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, BaHaSham, Rawchaa, QaDash. Let's give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well, to the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, the elect. Shalom, shalom to the elect, the Israelite foreigners who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father, and have come back to the fold. Shalom to you sisters, Yahawah, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence, and a ball, Kwam Yasharala.